All right, good afternoon, everybody. So, on today's episode of Keith's Hot Takes, I know it's the season finale. So, on today's show, all I'm going to do is preview North Carolina versus Duke, the big rivalry game going down here and this weekend, and also I'm going to preview the Super Bowl, and that'll be it for today's show. So, first, we have North Carolina visiting Duke, and this is the first time since 1960, February 27th, that both of these teams have been unranked going into this game. So, for North Carolina, I'll start with North Carolina. The key for them is to dominate the paint. I think they want to get Matthew Hurts and Jalen Johnson in foul trouble. And I think they just need to dominate inside because I don't think Duke has the size that they normally have. So I think North Carolina can take advantage inside. I would expect Armando Bacot to have a big game, Garrison Brooks, Dayron Sharp. That's their trio of bigs. Not many teams have size like that. Oh, I don't know any team that can bring a big off the bench, 6'11", 270. So I think they got to dominate the paint, and I think they got to get good guard play from the guards, Caleb Love, R.J. Davis, and Anthony Harris, who's really a shooting guard. They usually play him at the off guard. But I think Caleb Love and R.J. Davis, they're going to have to be smart with the ball, not turn the ball over, get it inside to the bigs. And I think Corwin Walton, who's basically really one of their only three-point threats, I think he's going to have to hit a few big shots. And I think for Duke, Matthew Hurts cannot get in foul trouble, him or Jalen Johnson, because I've noticed when those two guys get in foul trouble, Duke is not the same team. And can Duke hit any outside shots? That's going to be the key because when they had this three-game winning streak, they were starting to hit shots and stuff like that. That was the key for them because when they were losing, they couldn't hit no shots. I remember the Louisville game. I think two or three guys had wide open looks at threes, and I'm like, oh, that has to be so deflating. And then they got on this three-game winning streak. They started hitting their threes, and I think Wendell Moore. If usually when he plays good, Duke wins. So can they get anything out of Wendell Moore? Um, and I really think that if North Carolina is going to win this game, they haven't played well on the road. They're going to have to hit their free throws. And I want to see how they respond after getting basically pumped. Was it? Tuesday against Clemson. Clemson held them to only 50 points. I know Clemson is a great defensive team, but I think North Carolina, I don't know what their problem was. They weren't hitting their free throws, and Clemson was just out toughing them, and that can't happen Saturday night in a big rivalry game. So I'm gonna take North Carolina here, just for the simple fact that I think they're gonna have too much size inside, um, and you just don't know if Duke is going to be hitting their threes. But most times a team could be struggling, and then when they play North Carolina, they have a career day from three, or their shots start falling. But I think North Carolina's size is going to be a little too much for Duke. But I know Coach K will do a great job of figuring out how to deal with that size. But it's going to be interesting because North Carolina and also Walker Kessler, he gets a few minutes, but I think COVID really hurt him because it was reported that him and another freshman, Puff Johnson, the younger brother of Cameron Johnson, they were dealing with some COVID issues. It wasn't really reported that they had COVID, but it was related to COVID. Um, he really hasn't had an impact like the other three bigs have had this season, but he's 7-1. So you look at that, they bring Dayron Sharp off the bench and then Walker Kessler, who's 7-1. He usually gets a few minutes, not a lot because of how good those other three play. But I just think North Carolina's just going to have a little too much size for Duke. But North Carolina's going to have to shoot their free throws better because they left a lot of points at the line the other night. So, but I'm just taking North Carolina for the simple fact their size. And if they can get enough play from their backcourt where they're not turning the ball over, they're hitting enough three-point shots where they can't pack the paint, I think that's going to be the key. So I'm going to roll with North Carolina to get a big win on the road. They're undefeated at home, but they haven't played well on the road. Matter of fact, I think they've only won two road games, two, and they're undefeated at home. Interesting nugget before we preview the Super Bowl between the Bucs and Chiefs. When Duke scores 75 points, they're 7-1. When they don't come anywhere near 75 points, they're 0-5. So that'll be the key mark for Duke to try to get to 75 points. And North Carolina's not really a great defensive team, so I expect a high scoring, great game Saturday, 6 o'clock, ESPN. Now, let's preview the Super Bowl between the Kansas City Chiefs and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Whew, I'm so excited about this game. Can't wait for it. I think we all remember the first time they played. Tyreek had 7 catches, 203 yards in just the first quarter. So that can't happen again. And Tampa, I think, I think Tampa needs to get off to a better start than they did because you don't want to get down 17-0 to Patrick Mahomes. So I'll start with Tampa. I think, like I said, they need to get off to a better start. And I think on defense, I think they need to figure out a way to get to Patrick Mahomes because I don't think that they can cover the Chiefs receivers. If I'm Todd Bowles, I don't blitz because if you blitz, you leave your corners one on one with Travis Kelce and Tyreek Hill. Not something that I would recommend. So I think they got to get pressure with Shaq Barrett, JPP, Vita Vea, and Sue, and Dominican Sue. Um, because if you remember, the Chiefs are about to go 24-0, and I was about to turn the TV, and then they get that fumble on Mahomes in the red zone that turns the game around. So since the Chiefs are down three offensive linemen, can that front four get home on Mahomes? Because I wouldn't send more than four because you need all the help you can get trying to cover Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce. Because we know Tyreek, he can take a little drag route and hit his head on the goalpost or get a big splash play. Um, so I'll be interested to see what type of defense Todd Bowles plays. I would have two guys on Kelce, two guys on Hill, and I would not let the Chiefs get anything over my head. So I would play two deep safety look where you have two deep safeties and you basically make them work underneath. But the problem with that is if you aren't a good tackling team and you don't wrap Tyreek up, he'll get a 60-yard gain, big play. And Kelce, that's what the Bills are playing, two deep safety. And Kelce was getting those little short, little underneath passes, and Mahomes was fine taking that. And he had a big day. I think he had 11 catches. Let me see what he had. 11 catches. I know he had a big day. I know that. Let me look that up real quick. Um, Bear with me for a second. So Tyreek led them with 172, but yeah, Kelce had 13 catches, 118. You can't let him do that. So I think Tampa, they need to get their running game. I think they need to be balanced. That way, Frank Clark, Chris Jones, they can't peel their ears back. And I think Brady just needs to spread the wealth, get Mike Evans, Godwin, Antonio Brown, Scotty Miller, Tyler Johnson, spread the wealth. Both of these offensive coordinators, Byron Leftwich and Andy Reid, Eric Bieniemy, they do a great job of finding creative ways to get their star players the ball. So I'll be interested to see how the Bucs find creative ways to get Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, Gronk, and their receivers the ball. The running backs need to be able to catch the ball when Tom Brady throws them little dump passes out the backfield, because I know they dropped a few last time, so that'll be key. So we'll go to the Chiefs now. Um, they need to protect Patrick Mahomes, and I'll be interested to see how they use Tyrann Mathieu, because he's like the X factor on that defense. You need to find out what 32 is, because they'll blitz him, they'll put him on your best player. he can do it all. I think they need to. I know it's hard to run the ball on the Buccaneers because you have the big beef of Vita Vea and Sue in the middle, so it's hard to run on them. I think you can get like jet sweeps and counters, toss. You can run on the outside on the Bucs, but inside I wouldn't recommend it because you're not going to have much success running in the middle with Vita Vea and Ndamukong Suh. I wouldn't recommend it. Um, and I think they need to, like they do every week, find creative ways to get Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce the ball because you know they're going to try to double team them or play two deep safety look, and you'll be able to have the underneath stuff with them. So, can they do that? I'm pretty sure they will because Andy Reid does a great job of, finding ways to get Tyreek and Kelsey the ball. Um, and also, it'd be interesting to see what the weather's going to be like. I checked it earlier before I went to class, and it was going to be raining in the morning, and then it would be clear once game time starts. So hopefully it's clear because we've only had one Super Bowl with rain, and I think that was Colts Bears. Yeah, Colts Bears. So hopefully we have nice, beautiful weather, and we're able to have a great game. Now for my pick. This is tough. I'm rolling with the Chiefs here. I'm taking the Chiefs to go back to back, run it back. But I'm not going to count out Tom Brady because if you look at what he's done on his way to the Super Bowl, he beat the NFC East champs, the Washington football team. Then the following week, beat the NFC South champs, the New Orleans Saints. I know Drew Brees reportedly was banged up, but he still did it. And then in the NFC Championship game, you go to Green Bay, one of the hardest places to play in the postseason because you don't know what the weather's going to be like. They did a great job getting the snow off the field um, before the game, but he beat three divisional champs to get to the Super Bowl. If he beats Kansas City, that'd be four. And if you look at some of the quarterbacks he's beat during this postseason run, I think it'd be one of the greatest postseason runs ever. He beat Breeze, he beat Rodgers, and if he beats Mahomes, I think he should just ride off in the sunset. Because you beat Breeze, he was banged up, so what? You beat Rodgers. I mean, the coach, they blew that game, but look at that run that Tom Brady went through. That's no easy task. Washington, I know they really didn't have a quarterback with that defense. Um, they did a great job containing that defensive line, Tampa's offensive line, so I got to give them credit for that. So I'm going to take the Chiefs. I think it'll be 35-31. I think a high-scoring game because you know you're going to need at least 30 to beat Mahomes unless you get pressure and force them to kick field goals. But I'm going to take the Chiefs 35-31. I think it'll be a high-scoring game. If you like offense, I would tune into this game because I think both offenses are going to be moving up and down the field. And I can't wait to watch the weekend do the halftime show. I'm excited to watch that. This will be one of the few halftime shows I actually stay and watch. I usually go take a shower or go in the kitchen to get some hors d'oeuvres or things like that. I usually don't watch the halftime show because it's usually not somebody I want to see. So I want to thank y'all for tuning in this season. I appreciate y'all. We'll be back for season 4 in the fall. I'm not sure if I'm going to do a draft recap where I recap the first round of the NFL draft and say which team had the best draft, etc. I have to see what school's like at the end of, I think it's at the end of April. So we'll have to see what school's like. If I'm not able to do an actual show, I'll just do a podcast and I'll post a link on all my social media sites. So thank you to everybody that tuned in this season. I appreciate it. And I'll see y'all again, hopefully at the end of April. If not, then I'll see y'all in the fall. But I hope I'm able to do some type of podcast or show recapping the draft. So thank y'all for your support. And by the next time I see you, hopefully I have that degree and I get to walk across the stage. Hopefully we get this coronavirus in order and I'm able to walk across that stage in May. So until next time, thank you. It was a pleasure.
Gorilla on the track.
Turn me up, Josh.